Hi guys, so today I'm going to show you how to map a prop with Tribute. It's quite straightforward, but if you've never done it before, you might be unsure. So I just thought I'd do a little short video on how to do it. So what do you need for mapping a prop? So first of all, you need to make sure you've got all the right files in your BakeMe already. So I'm just going to remap the taser prop just to show you an example. So in the background here, this is my BakeMe folder, the inside of it. So first of all, I'm going to put the prop into my props folder, which is here. So I've already got it in here for now. But if you didn't have it in here, then you just put it in here. So within the props folder, you should have the following files. So you should have an MCD file, which is the model itself, MTLS, your material file, which points to the textures and stuff like that, and a prop config. You'll usually have one of those, and a textures folder and a havoc folder. If you want to add the prop to the weapon wheel, so you can grab it during a match, as opposed to just mapping a prop that you want to add with the props match editor or with the Blender plugin by SVR. If you want it to actually be on the weapon wheel itself, then you're also going to need a couple of textures. So what I do with that is in my BakeMe UI folder, I've created a new folder called prop maps, prop mods, but you can make whatever folder you want as long as it's inside UI. And then I just put I've created a new folder in here called taser weapon, and this has my renders for the weapon wheel. So what you need is two different renders. Your main one, which is going to be 400 by 400, and your wheel one, which is going to be 180 by 400. 180 by 400. So these are baked like BC3 or DXT5 DDS textures. So once you make sure you've got your prop files and your renders inside the BakeMe, then we can actually look to mapping the prop. So we'll open Tribute and go to the props match editor from the Tribute main menu, and we're going to hit the map new prop button. So here, I'm just going to fill out these fields to map my prop. So the prop ID with my taser, I've already decided that's going to be ID 9415. But you can pretty much have whatever ID you want. It's pretty much unlimited as far as I know. So you just want to check first that your prop ID doesn't already exist. Just load up my edit prop maps and I'll put 9415. So that has not been used already. One thing about the upcoming DLC, they did use IDs similar to this range. So what I've started doing is just jumping quite a bit ahead just to make sure there's not going to be any future conflict. So I'll actually change that to 110. And as I've already mapped this prop, you will see that. That's why it's already there, because I've already mapped this. So I'm just showing you again for this tutorial. So for now, I'll just change this to 111020. So that's not taken. So we can go back to my map prop. And so I'm going to have 111020. Prop name. This is not actually seen in game. It's just for when you're viewing it in the edit props window, really. So I'll just call this taser new, because that won't actually show up in game. It's just for your previewing. State is pretty much always one, so it's usually one unless there's some reason not to be one. So the anim set, this is maybe a tricky one, as whatever prop you're trying to map, you're going to need to know what animation set it's based on. So for example, um, the taser is actually based on the mic animation. You'll notice if you use a taser, it's got the same kind of animations that the microphone has. So that's quite important. So we'll put mic slash football as the base, because the football and the mic do share the same anim set ID. Like if you were making like a barbed wire chair or something like that, then obviously the chair would be your anim set ID. Um, this is just this is what animations are basically going to be set on your prop, that kind of thing. So for the taser, it's going to be a mic football. So you might be like, if you're mapping props from another weapon pack, you might not always be sure. I mean, some things will be obvious, like you can tell if something's been based on a table, but you might actually have to look at previews of the prop or ask the creator what's the actual base prop they built this on. But if you do get it wrong, you can always change it later in edit prop maps. So that's mic 4. So I'm just going to map the actual files now. So MCD, we're going to find that in my Bake Me props, and it was the taser. So it's that MCD file. Just select that. Got the hash for that. Select the MTMS. Select the config. There's no YCL, so we don't have to worry about that. Most props do not have a YCL. Textures folder, so that's the folder itself. And the Havoc hash is actually the Havoc folder. So that is everything for mapping the prop itself. If we wanted to just add it into a match type with the plugin or with Tribute itself, that would be enough. But if we want to actually add it to the weapon wheel, hit add to weapon wheel. Want an SDB name for what it's called in game, so I'll just grab one from the SDB editor. You can make a custom one if you want, if you know how to use the SDB editor. But I just took one from the game. I just put like a taser and took the hash for that, the decimal hash. So you can actually change that yourself if you want. And then I want to locate those renders that I added. So I'll go to the Bake Me UI folder, prop mods, taser weapon, put my first render, and then the wheel render one. Click that. So now I've got all my maps there, and I'll literally just hit create prop. And that's it. Your prop is now added. So if you go back to edit prop maps, hit load, scroll to the bottom, and you'll see your new taser. And you can see all the fields. So if you need to edit any of this later, you can do so. The anim set. Do you remember our drop down list that I said what is the base prop that we're using? So in the editor, you'll see it's written in the ID form. So 37, which that was our mic. But if you wanted to change that, if you wanted to table, then you just type in like table here, edit selected. You can see the table is actually anim set 1. So you could go back to yours, edit selected, and change that to the 1 if you needed to. A lot of the anims are, it seems like they're actually defined in the config file. So I'm not convinced how much the anim set actually matters, but I'd have to test that out myself more. But it seems like you could have the anim set as pretty much anything. And if you made some changes in the config itself, it would take the animations of what you define the prop as in the config. So I'm not actually sure if the anim set really does much, but it's best just to have it, just in case. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching.